You're listening to Stimulus Tech Talk, a conversation-based podcast created by Stimulus Technologies that covers a range of topics related to business and technology.
Welcome to Stimulus Tech Talk. I'm Sherry Lip, the marketing manager at Stimulus Technologies, and I'm here today with Nathan Whitaker, our CEO. And we're going to be talking a little more about AI today. In the last episode, we talked about how much things have changed since we first brought somebody on to talk about AI and business over a year ago now. And we are going to be talking about how businesses can integrate AI into their operations. Welcome, Nathan.
Hey, Sherry, how are you?
I'm good today. It's a little smoky in the air here in our area.
It is really quite smoky. It's gross,
Yeah.
but that's the joys of summer wildfires in the West.
Yes. um,
So, have you replaced me with AI yet to to
haven't.
answer these questions?
I haven't been able to replace you with AI yet, and of course, we never will be able to. But certainly, we're going to talk about how AI can help us throughout our busy days. So to get started, how do you think, kind of gearing towards the smaller businesses who may be thinking about AI but are not sure what to do? How do you suggest they start getting out of that overwhelm?
Yeah, I think that any new technology causes that for businesses, and we've talked a little bit about it to this, and the podcast. I think the first thing you have to do is look at things that are repetitive inside your organization that could be potentially automated. Things that your team does over and over again. I think Sherry and I are obviously using AI for some of our things that we do, and it's interesting to use AI in content generation. And it seems to be like pretty obvious way of implementing AI. And we've seen a huge increase in content generation with using ChatGPT or generative AI to develop marketing and sales content. And I think that's a good low hanging fruit. Some of the issues with that is you might get content that sounds like it's been generated by AI, which is not good. So you want to ensure that it's still your voice that's coming out. So I think you got to look at AI as an assistant, somebody to help you create structure or maybe get the idea started, and then you can generate the content um, with your own voice after the fact. Or if you've generated a certain content, let's say an outline or a general, like an email that you want to send to a prospect and you want to make it sound a little bit better, or, a proposal that you want to improve or summarize, AI is really good at those type of tasks of, improving the language that you've already done or summarizing something to target a specific person. There's some cool AI tools out there too that you can use that allow you to understand the personality of the person that you're communicating with and use the AI tools to say, hey, I'm talking to a person that's a driver or a person that's an introvert or a person that wants all the details. How do I reframe this message to speak to their personality? And there's some really cool tools out there to allow you to do that. So I think it's just getting started with things that are repetitive. I kind of got into the weeds there for a second about some of these, new tools that are coming out. But, think about things that you're struggling with inside your company or your team is struggling with, and then see if AI can automate or assist in that, like your virtual assistant. I think thinking about these, especially on the generative AI side for small business, think about it as a virtual assistant or an enhancer for your usual operations. So that's the low hanging fruit that we're seeing today.
And how do you think, as a CEO, AI can helps you already save time throughout your day? Okay. How do you think as a CEO, how has AI does it help you save time throughout your day?
Yeah, I think for me as a CEO, what I've used AI, it's I'm talking the generative AI, ChatGPT or Copilot, and just a word of note, using the paid versions are essential as part of this. The free versions are using the information that you give it to generate future models. So ensure that if you're going to use AI inside your company, make sure that you're using the paid versions of these tools, as you could be releasing corporate information. I think we'll talk about that here in a minute, the privacy concerns inside of it. I generate a lot of content. Wrote a book, The CEO's Digital Survival Guide, write a lot of blog articles. I send a lot of emails. I prep for a lot of meetings. I generate sales content. And I'll give you an example that I was using generative AI for last week. We are working on developing new service packages on the MSP side of our business, and we've come up with the outline of these packages, what they're going to include, who they're for, and we wanted to generate some names for the packages, and we used generative AI to give us some ideas for the names. We asked it to generate 10 ideas for each one of the package names, and I think we came up with some good ideas for that. Obviously it was a back and forth with generative AI, but it was a brainstorming session, and AI was part of the team. There's four of us working on it, and I think it came up with some great ideas. And then after the fact, I was trying to generate how I could lay this content out in a sales presentation that we could present to clients. And I was stuck a little bit on how to get started, and so I turned to AI and asked for some ideas, and we developed kind of this back and forth, again brainstorming, using it as an assistant. Came up with a layout of how this would look for the presentation, and gave me some outline of ideas on the content that I could use. It certainly was not the AI that just generated this document for me, but I used it as kind of as I've called it in the past, rubber ducking, talking to the rubber duck in the bathtub, just kind of coming up with some ideas for the presentation that I wanted to lay out on the piece of paper. So again, I'm using it to assist me. I'm not using it to replace the work. And I think that's the way that we need to look at, especially generative AI in the office environment today, as a virtual assistant or an AI assistant to help you resolve some questions, do some research, generate some ideas, provide outlines of content, and then you as the knowledge work person or worker, you fill in all the gaps and provide the expertise that you're good at as an individual.
And kind of along those lines, what do you think business owners, a lot of business owners who haven't incorporated AI yet, don't realize about AI in their business?
I think what they don't realize, if you haven't tried it, is really how much time it can save. It's been a huge time saver for me, especially on the content generation side, and a cost savings too. If I was to hire, an assistant to do some of these things, that's a cost to the business. It might be saving me, $20 or $30,000 a year to have this AI virtual assistant that I would have to be paying potentially a content expert or a writer to assist with. So, it doesn't replace a full person. Certainly, it's not doing all the tasks that like an executive assistant would, but it definitely saves my time on just generating content. Um, so that's a big thing. It's a time and cost saver. And if you multiply that across your entire company, if people that inside your business that are generating content, writing a lot of emails, communicating with inside your company or outside your company, think about the multiplier that AI can be, just you know handling those mundane tasks that might be useful in other ways, and just allow the people to work on stuff that they're experts on. So that's the best way to think of AI is, let the artificial intelligence help you do the best work you can do.
And as people are considering, what's going to work, what tools are going to work best for them and their company, you kind of touched upon it with the open AI sources, but what kind of data security risks should people take into consideration?
Yeah, that's the biggest and scariest thing. So these models for generative AI and most AI models require a large data set. And OpenAI really came out with this new idea of using the internet. Well, not new, they've been doing this before, but they basically took all the publicly available data from the internet and train the AI model using that. And then as we continue to use the AI model, it's learning from the interactions. The problem is if you are feeding it, like, let's say, your company's profit loss statement or a new product idea, and it's learning from that, it could show up in somebody else's chat that they're doing with the system. And so what they've done now is ChatGPT, Microsoft's with their Copilot, which we recommend, um, has data security built into it. Why I like Copilot for the enterprise is because it's part of the entire Microsoft 365 cloud and Azure infrastructure system. So it has access to your security profiles that you've created for your users. And it keeps all the data that it's using inside your organization to train that model and to produce that content, but that is never going to be used to get out to other organizations. So you're never going to see your new business idea or your profit loss statement or your performa show up in somebody else's chat. And then internally, again, uh, Copilot only has access to the data that the user that's using it has access to. So, if a user types in, "Hey, I'd like to, understand how the business is performing," and they're just, a technician that shouldn't have access to any financial data, it's not going to give them that type of data, even though an executive might have access to that data. So, it's really important to understand the terms and conditions of the system that you're using and how the provider that's giving the software is using that data that you're feeding to it. So whether you're using a generative AI system like ChatGPT or Copilot, or maybe video content generation or transcription, these type of tools are really important to understand if that data is protected inside your account or if that's going to be used outside of the organization. And I would say, companies need to build these AI policies to ensure that your teams are not using random AI tools that could be sharing data, and as a business owner, making sure that you're only allowing the use of tools that protect your company's data.
And what do you think Copilot is a good place for businesses to start, integrating AI since it's all, encompassing something they might already be using?
Yeah, I think Copilot is a great entry tool for businesses, just because it integrates with the tools that you're already using. Microsoft Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it's all integrated in those existing tools, which is a great opportunity to allow your team to have an assistant that will integrate with the existing environment use the existing security and provide that assistant, that hybrid AI support to your team. So Copilot is a great place to start. And, we could talk about a little bit more, if you want to go one step beyond the generative AI, about, building new tools to do integrations outside of just standard generative AI. So that's like next level. First level is certainly using Copilot. Next level is finding a business process and developing your own tool to solve a business process.
And so that was going to kind of leads into, like, for different industries, how do you think AI can be, how do different industries take that into consideration of what types of AI they can use?
So I got a question on LinkedIn as I've been posting some blog articles from one of our clients that's in the healthcare industry. And he asked, how could AI be used to do diagnostic medicine? And that's actually a big research area for AI. I would say, about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, a lot of researchers at universities said, hey, how can we use AI to screen for cancer or screen for disease, X disease or whatever it may be. And they found that AI does a very good job, once well trained, to identify these, cancers or diseases or whatever it may be, through diagnostic imaging or, blood treatments, things like that. And so that's a little bit more difficult. You're not certainly going to train ChatGPT by uploading a bunch of diagnostic image X-rays on how to detect, fractures of bones, for example. It's not going to do that type of work. That is more specialized and customized AI systems that have to be programmed over time. And there's different ways to program these systems. One of it is, just give it a large data set and allow it to comb over and figure out, through, building neural networks and statistics on what that data set is, what is, normal medical imaging and what is outside the scope. You can have human interaction that you're training the model and saying, okay, this is where I found, go back to the fracture in the bone. This is where I found the fracture. That's what it looks like. And then bring up another image. The human points out, this is a normal, bone scan. And it takes a long time to train those models. And that's what, researchers have been doing over time, is building these models that they can use. And these are very specialized. And it's very hard for a small business to, obviously afford to hire data scientists, programmers, um, the experts to build these type of models. And so what you should be looking for, as owners of businesses in those specific industries like healthcare, is for your vendors to come out with these type of tools integrating in the existing system. So if you're a diagnostic imaging center, look for the, maybe, GE or one of these large enterprises to come up with some new tools to allow to integrate with your X-rays or MRIs or CAT scans machines, of providing that additional help on, diagnostic medicine. And it takes a lot of money and a lot of time to train these models, these very specialized models, but we're going to see some huge benefits from those, I think, in the next few years. But look for these vendors to come out with some really cool new tools around those areas. I think it's a little stretch for, a small business, 20, 30 employees to think about, building their own tools. It might be something a little bit down the road that we can do, but right now look for your vendors to come out with some new products to allow you to integrate those with the existing systems that you're buying from them.
And that was kind of going to be my next question is, we know Copilot is from Microsoft, so it's something that we use already, but, we've talked about AI being the fastest growing technology ever. how do people kind of suss out the good from the bad? Because there's so many things out there, and people are putting them out. We don't know. Some of them are good, some of them are not.
I think that's a big problem right now because they're taking a tool that is not AI and slapping an AI label on it. So it's definitely, you got to be careful about um, the marketing hype of AI. Let me call it that. So there's a lot of tools out there that are being marketed as AI integrated, and they're just algorithms that the companies have programmed for a long time, and it's really not artificial intelligence. The system's not learning from anything. It's not improving from anything. It's using um, their existing systems, and they might have integrated some type of content generation and in it, maybe integrating with ChatGPT on a back end using what we call APIs. They might have done a little bit of that to improve the performance, but it's certainly not a complete AI system. So that's the first thing to look at, is just be wary of the AI label out there, because I see so many solutions that are calling themselves AI that are not. You know, they're just you know they're just automation. Um, so AI does not necessarily mean automation, and automation does not necessarily mean AI. They're two different terms. You can perform automation inside your systems, and we have been for a long time without having AI. Um, and you can have AI that doesn't automate anything. So g- it's marrying those two that really helps a business out quite a bit. Um, so that would be the first thing, is just don't believe the marketing label that's put on the tools. And then get some references, see if there's free trials of the tools before you buy it. A lot of these tools have subscription models that are uh, that allow you to sign up for a couple of months, try it out, see if it makes sense. Again, going back to the data privacy, ensure that you're not uploading a list of all your customers to a marketing system, and then they're going to suddenly share that with everybody inside their ecosystem, and use those contacts to market for other companies. So just be very careful and cognizant of the data security and data privacy before you sign on the tool. So look at the reputation of the company. Don't just trust the AI label, and then ensure that they're going to protect your data going forward, and they're not using your data to train the models in the future.
And final question, because we're not just talking about it to talk about it, as much fun as it is. How can stimulus help businesses with this?
So we've got a lot of questions from our clients about how to integrate AI, and we've come up with two programs to help companies implement AI. The first one is is an AI success video series that we've created to help companies understand how to use Copilot inside their business. And so, if you, as a Microsoft partner, we can sell Microsoft Copilot. If you purchase Copilot through us, that's part of the video series that we give to you. And then we have a master class that we've developed that is a longer series. It's a 12-week master class, and it allows your team to join the master class. There'll be training in each one of the classes for about 30 minutes, and then a Q&A session for about 30 minutes in each one of the master classes. And the idea is we can get into these groups and learn from each other on how you're using these tools, answer any questions that you may have, assist with the implementation, maybe ideas for prompt generation, which is a big part of AI. And each one of these are recorded, and you can share them with your team if they can't be there. So our goal as Stimulus is to help small businesses and mid-sized companies implement AI technologies. And I think this is a good way to get started with just some general ideas on how to implement AI and train your team on these tools.
All right. Well, thanks, Nathan, and thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. And I will put a link to some of our information about this into the description. Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks, Sherry, and thanks everybody for being here as always.